Want to speak real Norwegian from your first lesson? Sign up for your free lifetime account at norwegianclass101.com.
Jeg heter Nora. Hyggelig å møte dere. Hi, I'm Nora. Nice to meet you. In this series, we're going to learn basic Norwegian expressions. It's super easy and it only takes 3 minutes. In this lesson, you're going to learn how to introduce yourself in Norwegian. You only need to know 2 sentences. Let's see how Norwegian people introduce themselves. Hei, jeg heter Nora. Hyggelig å møte deg. Hi, I'm Nora. Nice to meet you. Hei, jeg heter Nora. Hyggelig å møte deg. Start by saying, Hei, jeg heter. Then say your name. Hei, jeg heter Nora. Finally, say, hyggelig å møte deg. Hei, jeg heter Nora. Hyggelig å møte deg. And now, let's see the same sentence in a different format. Hallo, jeg heter Nora. Hyggelig. Hello, my name is Nora. Nice to meet you. Hallo, jeg heter Nora. Hyggelig. So, what has changed from the previous introduction? Let's take a close look at these together. Hei has been substituted with an alternative greeting, hallo, Norwegian for hello. In a formal setting, you would say your full name, but it is better to just use your first name when being introduced to new friends. Hyggelig å møte deg has been shortened to just hyggelig. When meeting someone in a formal context, for instance at work, hyggelig å møte deg would be the most appropriate greeting. When being introduced to new friends, hyggelig will do. One more time. One way to introduce yourself in Norwegian is Hei, jeg heter Nora. Hyggelig å møte deg. An alternative way to introduce yourself is Hallo, jeg heter Nora. Hyggelig. Now it's time for Nora's insights. When you introduce yourself, it's a good habit to shake hands in Norway. While hyggelig å møte deg is slightly more formal than just hyggelig, you don't need to worry too much about which one you use. If you use one of these sentences with Norwegian people, they're definitely going to be impressed. In the last lesson, we learned how to introduce ourselves in Norwegian. In this lesson, we're going to learn how to use good manners as we thank people. Dere klare? Are you ready? La oss begynne. So let's start. There are several ways to thank someone. Let's start with the easiest. It is just one word. Takk. Takk. Takk means thank you. When saying thank you very much, you just need to add tusen at the beginning. Tusen takk. Tusen takk. Tusen means 1,000. So, tusen takk is like saying 1,000 thanks. During the last lesson, we didn't really mention anything about formality in speech in Norwegian. However, there are some subtle differences in how you will be perceived by others. Takk is a casual way to thank someone. Tusen takk expresses more gratitude and is thus more formal. A longer and more formal phrase, which expresses a lot of gratitude, would be Tusen takk, så hyggelig av deg. Here we have just added så hyggelig av deg, which means how nice of you. Tusen takk, så hyggelig av deg. But how do you answer these expressions of gratitude? It's easy. There are basically 2 different ways to do it. The first is vel bekomme. Vel bekomme. Vel bekomme literally means you are welcome. The other way to say you are welcome is the expression Bare hyggelig. Bare hyggelig. Literally, this phrase means it's my pleasure or with pleasure, but it is the most common and polite way to respond to someone thanking you. So when someone is saying takk to you, you can simply reply with vel bekomme or bare hyggelig. Now it's time for Nora's insights. If you're not sure about whether to use takk or tusen takk, keeping it simple is always your safest bet. You don't have to worry about formal or informal situations. Takk can be used with just about anyone, anywhere, and at any time. In the last lesson, we learned how to be grateful to people by saying takk. In this lesson, we learned some of the most common greetings used in Norway. Er dere klare? Are you ready? La oss begynne. So let's start. The most used informal greeting is hei. Hei. Hei means hi. We use it when we meet people. We can use this greeting with anyone. But it isn't the only way to greet someone. We also have hallo. Hallo, which means hello. And more time-specific greetings like god dag. God dag. Literally, god dag means good day. As a rule of thumb, we can use god dag only during the daytime, from morning until evening. During the evening, we say god kveld. God kveld. Kveld is Norwegian for evening, so god kveld means good evening. Finally, in the mornings we say god morgen. God morgen, which means good morning. God dag, god kveld, and god morgen are used when we meet someone, but when we leave, we don't say them again. When parting ways for a long time, we usually say ha det bra. Ha det bra. Ha det bra means be well, but translates best as goodbye. Finally, in Norwegian, we have an expression meaning see you soon. Ses. Ses. Now you can greet people in many different ways in Norwegian. Let's review them all again. When meeting friends or someone we don't know, hei or hallo. When leaving, we say ha det bra. When leaving but want to imply see you soon, we say ses. It's easy, isn't it? Now it's time for Nora's insights. In formal situations, Norwegian people commonly greet each other by shaking hands. However, if we meet someone we are very friendly with, it's common to give hugs. Don't be afraid to try it out with your Norwegian friends. In the last lesson, we learned the most common forms of greetings in Norwegian. Do you remember them? In this lesson, we're going to learn a very useful phrase. Do you speak English? If you find yourself in a situation where you need assistance in English, this phrase can be a lifesaver. And because you're asking it in Norwegian, you can be sure that everyone will understand what you're saying, even if their answer is no. Here's the most common way to say it. Snakker du engelsk? Snakker du engelsk? Norwegian is a pretty straightforward language. We conjugate verbs based on time, which means we have past, present, and infinitive. The question, snakker du engelsk, translates as, are you speaking English? The verb snakker, to speak, is in the present tense. The second word in the sentence, du, simply means you. And you probably recognize engelsk to be English. Snakker du engelsk? To learn how to properly conjugate verbs like snakker, please check out our Absolute Beginner series on NorwegianClass101.com. You can find very detailed grammar lessons and resources there. Like English, there are many ways to ask this question. Let's look at another one, also pretty similar to English. Kan du snakke engelsk? It's literally the equivalent of can you speak English? Kan du snakke engelsk? Adding unnskyld, excuse me, to the sentence would make it unnskyld, kan du snakke engelsk? Unnskyld, kan du snakke engelsk? The responses you will receive could be one of these three. Ja, yes, ja. Litt, a little, litt. Nei, jeg kan ikke snakke engelsk. No, I can't speak English. Nei, jeg kan ikke snakke engelsk. Since this last one is a negative statement, we need to say ikke before the verb snakke. Notice also that the verb snakke is slightly different than snakker. Remember, the verb changes depending on the time it is in. We are now talking about the infinitive, since it is coupled with kan, which means can. Now it's time for Nora's insights. For those of you who don't just speak English, you can obviously use this question with any language you need. Norwegian people study other European languages at school, so maybe you will get lucky. Just substitute engelsk with italiensk for Italian, fransk for French, spansk for Spanish, tysk for German. In the last lesson, we learned the phrase unnskyld, kan du snakke engelsk? Excuse me, do you speak English? We mentioned the word unnskyld, which means excuse me in Norwegian. In this lesson, we're going to learn how to use unnskyld and other words when apologizing in Norwegian. We should use unnskyld in formal situations, such as when we are ordering something in bars or restaurants. For example, unnskyld, en kaffe takk. Excuse me, a coffee please. We can also use it when asking a question. Unnskyld, hvor er Frognerparken? Excuse me, where is the Vigeland Park? Sometimes we also hear people say beklager, which means the same thing when you want to apologize for a mistake. Beklager. Another common way to say excuse me is unnskyld. Unnskyld. Just like beklager, we can use unnskyld when apologizing for a mistake. You can also hear some Norwegians say sorry, which is a long word from English. It's often used as a quick apology amongst friends. All of these phrases can be used for either excuse me or I'm sorry. But if you really want to apologize for something, it might be better to use a longer phrase. That phrase is unnskyld, jeg er virkelig lei for det. It means excuse me, I am really sorry, and can be used in both formal and informal situations. Unnskyld, jeg er virkelig lei for det. First, we have the familiar unnskyld. Next, we insert the pronoun for I, jeg. Then er, which means am. This is followed by virkelig, which means really. Finally, we have the phrase lei for det, meaning sorry about it. Unnskyld, jeg er virkelig lei for det. Now it's time for Nora's insights. In Norway, if you accidentally bump into someone, you might not get any response. But to be polite, we either say unnskyld or beklager. It is also common to use the exclamation «Å» before apologizing. «Å, beklager».
When learning a new language, we sometimes have a hard time with things like procrastination, discouragement, or failure. But don't panic. With a good strategy, you'll be able to overcome these difficulties. Are you ready to discover the 4 habits of successful learners? Number 1, optimize your time. When learning a language, it's important to dedicate time to your studies regularly, even if sometimes it's difficult. You're busy with school, work, family, or friends, but you can spread out your learning throughout the day. Study whenever you have small gaps of time in your busy schedule. This can be when you're on the metro, on your lunch break, or while you're exercising. Our podcast learning format fits perfectly into your tight schedule. Number 2, consistency with your chosen method. There are a lot of options when it comes to courses and learning materials. Switching from one method to another can confuse you and disrupt your progress. Focusing on one learning method will make a difference. Our method has been created and optimized by real teachers, so you can stick to it with confidence. Number 3, use your language background. Many languages share some commonalities. You can find words that look or sound similar, or even share the same grammar structure. A little bit of language background will give you an edge while learning. Number 4, study continuously. People are excited when they start learning a new language. The enthusiasm usually lasts until the first roadblock. This can lead to discouragement and procrastination. But don't burn yourself out. Learning a language is a marathon, not a sprint. Don't try to learn it all at once. Break things down into more digestible chunks. Learning step by step might feel slow, but it's an efficient way to learn a language. With patience, motivation, and good resources, you'll master the language. Remember, you can't learn a language overnight, but with motivation and these daily lessons, you'll be on the road to fluency. Give it a try now. Sign up for your account. Just click the link in the description. Want to speed up your language learning? Take your very first lesson with us. You'll start speaking in minutes and master real conversations. Sign up for your free lifetime account. Just click the link in the description.